I would like to welcome you to our webinar this evening. For those that have previously attended, welcome. And for those attending for the first time, a special welcome. I'm Susan Barth. I'm the founder of the nonprofit Together in Happiness, Biahad Baoshar, and a special welcome to our guest presenter, Dr. Miriam Adahan, who I will introduce in a moment. Before I do that, I'd like to share a little bit about Together in Happiness if you've met us for the first time. We are a resource center, and we promote the awareness, recognition, and the critical importance of marriage education, enrichment, and coaching. We service all Jewish couples from every different stream and in Israel, in English-speaking countries, and the entire gamut of marriage. And marriage education, for those of you that don't know, it's not therapy. It provides the skills that are associated with happy and healthy marriages. And for the most part, it concentrates on providing skills in the areas of communication, conflict resolution, problem solving, expectations, and of course, how to talk without fighting. Who does it benefit? Everyone. Of course, the couples, and again, from engaged to empty nesters, and especially partners ranging from rabbis, from parents to media advisors. But the main thing is that we help the couple. We concentrate on the couple, and we provide the benefits of marriage, the benchmarks as to what to anticipate, and the behaviors, so that the couple can have the greatest bond and the least incident of divorce, and know what to anticipate as a toolkit. And of course, the couple is part of the family, and the family of origin is the first opportunity that a person has to see for themselves how a couple can either get along or not get along. But we know happy families or happy society, happy nation, and that's what makes the bond all the more close-knit. And that's why we're particularly privileged to talk about individuality in marriage and how to thrive as a couple. And our presenter is world-renowned as a psychologist, author, educator, and especially in the areas of mental health and self-development. She is an author who has written an entire encyclopedia of books on the subject, and it's my privilege to introduce, without further ado, Dr. Miriam Adahan.
So I think I'd like to start with the idea that Torah says it's not good for a person to be alone. We need somebody to support us. And the word nisuim means to raise up. That is the goal of nisuim. Laseit, to bring each other up, to help. We all have our faults as well as our desires and goals and things we want to develop. And that's really what a nisuim is for, is to encourage the other person to be the best they can be. Whatever that is, okay, and whatever their desires are. It's very interesting that probably one of the greatest Mekubalim of this present generation, Rabbi Yitzchak Ginsburg, says, according to the Torah, you can only love from a place of equality. You can't love from hierarchy. If you're feeling one up, superior, and you're seeing the other person as one down, love can't thrive. So we need equality. Everybody is different, but we need to see each other as having equal value. That's the most important thing. As different as we are, men are so different from women. Even the Maharal said, I don't know how people ever get married and have a marriage, because men and women are so different. And then every human being is so different. I've written a number of books on personality types, which I strongly suggest before you get married to understand who you are and what your needs are, what can change and what cannot change. Now, the Gottman Institute, that they're all over, these Gottman Institutes all over the world, they try to help people to establish healthy, happy relationships that are safe. That means free of abuse, coercive control, just safe relationships. No addictions, no desire to control or put the other person down. And what they've discovered is that about 70% of a human being's personality is not open to change. What they are, that's it. It's not going to change much. We can play around maybe with 30%. That's a lot. And we have to know whether we're dealing with the 70 or the 30. Because if I'm asking somebody to do something that they can't do, I'm going to be frustrated. Anyways, we're all so frustrated. If I'm going to ask an introvert to be more extroverted, or an extrovert to be more introverted, or somebody that's good with the physical world to be more spiritual, or a more spiritual type to be in the kitchen more often, okay, or me writing books, I'm not going to be in the kitchen for long. I'm not going to make fancy meals. That's not where I'm at. I'm not going to spend a lot of time shopping or food preparation or, okay, it's not going to happen. So I strongly suggest before marriage, everybody should read the book or take the test. They're online. This is the Enneagram System Awareness. You can get it from Amazon. This is the Appreciate People book. This is the Myers-Briggs system. Take the test. See who you are. And then you'll know what's in the 70 and what's in the 30. Before I have a webinar every week from Jewish workshops, I have to send my webinars beforehand to a woman who has very good, she sees little details. I am not detail oriented. She finds all my typos. I can't do that. I hop things as wholes. So I'll skip over. The word fact might be face, and I didn't see that it's face. I read it as fact. I won't see it, but she will. And there's nothing I can do about that. I also will not spend a lot of time making food or preparing food. I don't know. I'm happy with hard-boiled eggs and cucumbers. I don't know what it means. Good food, not good food, restaurants. Okay. Also suffered from Crohn's and colitis as a child, so I'm not going to go out to eat. I have complex PTSD. I don't leave the house. I have a young woman now. She married somebody who loves to travel. She's highly allergic. If she has a milk product or if there's sesame seeds in something, she could die. She doesn't want to go on trips and she doesn't want to go to restaurants. She's scared. She wants to know when she makes a meal that she's not going to die. Now, her husband loves trips and she's newly married. She's going to have to say, honey, I can't do that. You want to go on trips? Find your buddies. It's too anxiety provoking for me. Okay, so we have to know these things ahead of time. So I strongly suggest that you take the Enneagram test, you can do it for free, and take the Myers-Briggs test so you know what you can expect. I'm good one-to-one. I'm terrible in a crowd. I get social anxiety in a crowd. Put me one-to-one, I'm so happy. I had recently a mother brought me a handwriting. I also do handwriting analysis, so I know what can change and what can't change. And the girl is very introverted, and they're Chabad, and the mother has this wonderful boy. His dream is to have a Chabad house that's open 24/7. And they found such a boy. And the girl's very introverted. She needs peace and quiet. I said, please do not make this shidduch. They're both going to be miserable. Now, they liked each other. Like the opposites attract and then get divorced. But unless you completely can accept the other person, Now, the boy said, or the boy's mother said, let's try to change her so she's not so introverted. Her handwriting is tiny. She needs space. She needs quiet. She needs things very organized. She's not going to be good with surprises. I don't know, volcanoes and floods and disasters. Who knows what? That's not for her. She needs things very quiet and organized. Okay? So don't try to change people. Their 70% is not going to change. Now, I made a list of what people should talk about because everybody's going to be frustrated in marriage about these areas. Everybody's going to be frustrated about money issues. Men and women want to spend money on different things, and they don't understand. Okay. He's not going to understand her need for the nails and the makeup. Father asked me yesterday, he says, my daughters are always asking me for money for makeup. What? They're teenagers. He doesn't understand that need. Okay. So everybody's gonna have conflict about money and what they spend on. And what one person thinks is absolutely necessary, the other's gonna think doesn't make sense. And whether it's his books or a car or whatever he wants and whatever she wants. Okay, and there's going to be fights about that. There's going to be fights about affection. Some people like a lot of touch and affection and hugs and okay. Some people hate it. Sometimes you don't know until you get married. But let's say a girl says, no, I don't, don't touch me. It's going to be a problem. Unless he's that type too. And there are these types. Those should get married together. Don't put a very affectionate type that needs tons of hugs and gestures. You have to know your love language. Okay. So that's the second one. There's going to be a lot of fights about affection and also a tendency of everybody. Everybody tends to think, to make conclusions. If you don't hug me and you want less affection, then that means you don't love me.
We do have a question on the point you just raised. So what do we do if we're mostly opposites but many years married?
So what I would do is, because remember, we don't want, once force enters the situation and you try to force somebody to do something that's against their nature, they're going to be resentful and rebellious and go even further away. So what I suggest, it's like, I was thinking about this today, that I don't like to be in the kitchen. But my kids liked fancy food. So what I did was I said, okay, like, how about once a month we go out someplace? And I'm not going to eat in a restaurant because I can't eat the food, but we'll go out. I look for ways to compromise. And then I said, you know what? You're right. I'm a woman. I should make fancier meals. How about once a month or once a week? And you guys have to help me. Okay. And my kids, we had a wonderful neighbor. They would eat their Shabbos meal and then go to Mrs. Liraba Zichronah Livracha and have another meal by her, because every week it was something fancy and exciting, which they wanted, which I don't want. I want the same thing. I want very boring. Okay. So if you understand each other, you can find compromises. And then I taught my kids, I mean, they love to cook. So we worked it out. I said, I don't want to cook and I want to spend a lot of time patching things. And I'm so allergic to things, but I'll do it, and I'll do it once a month. How's that? So that's what you have to do, that in every one of these areas. Instead of saying, if you don't do this for me, then it means you don't love me. Once we start that, we're gone. The marriage is going to die. If you don't do that, no, I don't have any artistic talent. You can beat me up, I won't have artistic talent. I don't have any musical talent either. I love music, but I don't have any talent. I don't hear chords. Okay, there was a situation once where Toscanini, the most famous conductor ever, he got sick and he couldn't conduct at a big orchestra playing whatever. And he was sick and he had to get a substitute conductor in. And he listened to the symphony, and afterwards he said there was there's 120 people in the orchestra, and he said there was a violinist missing. And it was true. Of the 120 and maybe 50 violinists, one of them was sick and he could hear it. I won't hear it. I have emotional intelligence. I have EQ. I understand people. I understand that I see all the layers. I don't have it musically. I have many people in my family, very intelligent, high IQ, zero EQ. They don't understand people. They don't hear. What are you going to do? Somebody doesn't have an EQ. They have zero emotional intelligence. They don't understand people. They're not interested in understanding people. It doesn't matter to them. They're interested in other things. So like Toscanini, I'm like Toscanini in the emotional world. I don't have it not in music or food or sport. I don't know. I don't have it. So this is what it means to accept and figure out how to work around. It's also religiously. Everybody's going to fight about religion. No two people have exactly the same place where they are religiously at the same time. Everybody's growing at different rates. Some people I've had balei tshuva, wow, they're really into religion. And then one gets more into religion. And then over time, the other, oh, this isn't working for me. Sometimes they completely go away. I've had people that started off very religious couples, and then one loses interest. Nobody's at the same place religiously. Nobody's at the same place with the affection. Nobody's in the same place with money. Nobody's in the same place, let's say, with tidiness and cleaning. Everybody's going to have fights about that. Oh, he puts his jacket over the chair. It means he doesn't love me. He probably didn't even notice. So IQ is going to be different. EQ, cleaning, social events. Some people love big social events. Tons of people, parties, lots of food, abundance. Almost no two people are in the same place. Family obligations. One of them might want to take their elderly mother or father into the house. Very devoted to the parents. The other one, ew. No, I need my privacy. And then there's fights about children. One almost always is more permissive and liberal and let's work things out. And one is strict and just time out and threats and whatever. So you've got all these areas. Okay, we said about affection, religion, social events, cleaning, tidiness. Some people go crazy if there's a dish in the sink. I've had husbands, sweet, kind husbands that do the dishes, and then the wife comes and she does the dishes after he does the dishes, and she inspects this. Oh, see, there was something, you didn't get the spoon right. Those marriages don't last. Every woman has come and said, my husband does the dishes, but I have to go over them afterwards, and I always find some grease someplace. This is deadly. So cleaning, family obligations, food, how much food you want. Whether you want fancy, you want simple, what you want. And how you're going to treat the children. I am allergic to cruelty to kids. No threats, no timeout. Not the little ones. Okay, sometimes later on you need some timeout. But with 2, 3, 4-year-olds, no yelling, no criticism. This is deadly for little children. And what if you're with somebody who that person likes, and threats? So what will kill a marriage when I'm out and about, I collect about one of these a week from when I take my walks and I walk into the forest and I find all these nails. This is my physical representation of what a critical remark is like. Now, some of these are just from today. I took a walk before here. Okay, so there's a little one. Okay, here's maybe a little one. I think there was too much salt in the soup. Okay, I can handle that. That's little. But there's some bigger ones, like you don't really care about me, and I collect these. My grandkids collect them. And this is an image of when we make a critical remark, it goes right into the person's head. I was listening to Rabbi Breitowitz today, and he was saying that Rav Aaron Kotler said, he was talking about the cities of refuge, and he said, almost every teacher can be considered in some ways a murderer who needs to go to the city of refuge inadvertently, because teachers, this is Aaron Kotler, he says, teachers, the way they put some kids down, or they grimace at some, or they harm their sense of self-worth. There's hardly a teacher that hasn't at one point criticized a child, and I have some bullets here. This is really killing the kid's self-esteem. Tell the child, look, your room is a mess. How about if we take some time and clean up? So some kids are naturally organized, orderly, neat, and some kids aren't. Some people aren't, and even in a marriage. So then they need help. But throwing nails at them, this is criticism. Every critical remark hurts you. Everybody that comes to me as a therapist has hundreds of thousands of nails and bullets. The bullet is, I never really wanted to marry you in the first place. That's not a nail, even a big nail. That's a bullet. Or you talk too much. So when somebody criticizes you, and we're going to be criticized, because when you live with people are annoying and messy and demanding and irritating, just a human being's presence is irritating. And we have to know how to get along despite it, and how to reduce the irritations, especially in these areas that I've talked about. This is what produces anxiety and depression. This is what causes mental health issues. And when I see parents, when I'm on my walks or I'm at the mall, and I hear parents yelling at kids, or I hear brothers and what an idiot. Crazy, unwanted. Okay, so there's nails and there's different size nails here. Okay, so there's little ones. The soup was too salty. Okay. This is going to be mental health issues. You can't live with this without developing post-traumatic stress disorder. So we have to be careful about the bullets we send because we are going to be disappointed and frustrated with everybody. And our job is to avoid this. This is what the cities of refuge were all about, that we might inadvertently hurt somebody's feelings by telling them the big five. You're crazy, you're stupid, you're incompetent, you're weird, and whatever. And you're evil. When we do that, that's the bullets. So what I suggest is that once you know that there's an area of conflict, work on compromise. If you know something is really important to the other person, I don't care too much about clothing, but if one of my kids says, I'd like you to really dress up for this event, I don't know anything about fashion. Like, I don't know anything about food. Okay, but I'll work at it. I can't change my nature, but I'll do what I can. So maybe we'll talk a little bit now about how to make things safe. So number one, safety in the home has to feel safe, and your nervous system knows when you feel safe. A safe home is a home where you don't have to worry about this. And if somebody inadvertently says something, you can say, that hurt me. And now this is the test of if you're dealing with somebody with good mental health skills. Okay? So my area of expertise, I've written 5 books on domestic violence, and I train people to do this is the narcissist test. Okay. If you're in a healthy self relationship and someone says something that hurts your feelings, and you say, oh, sweetheart, that hurt my feelings, and the other person says, oh, I am so sorry. Tell me more. 3 words that will save your marriage. Tell me more. Or that makes sense. Given your background, it wouldn't hurt my feelings, but given your background, I can understand how that hurts your feelings. Those 6 words, six cities of refuge. That makes sense, and tell me more. Because we're going to get nailed. That's going to happen. So, number one, to have a safe relationship, sometimes you have to tell somebody, when I said that what you said hurt my feelings, okay, and the person says, no, it didn't. You're exaggerating. That's dumb. It didn't happen. I didn't do anything. You're too sensitive. Now you can say, look, that's called gaslighting. I don't want you to gaslight me. Gaslighting is, it didn't happen. I didn't do it. It's all your fault. You're too sensitive. You're over exaggerating. And basically you're crazy. Okay. Then if you say, can we please replay the scene? And this is what I want you to say. So you hurt my feelings. You did something that hurt my feelings. I want you to say, tell me more. And even if it has to do with my childhood. Okay. And it could be some of us were rejected. Some of us were unwanted. Some of us were bullied. And so things will set us off. And you don't know about people's attachment Everybody's got some kind of, no, not everybody, but 80% have some kind of attachment wound from early childhood. Maybe they were beaten. Maybe they got a lot of this. And so they're hypersensitive to it. So even if something doesn't make sense to you, I don't understand those long nails. That I don't, okay. To me, that's you're handicapped with those very long nails. But I'd like to understand maybe why somebody wants those long nails. Speaking of nails. Okay. So that's one thing you can do. Do the narcissist test. If you say, could we please replay the scene? And what I want you to say is tell me more so I can understand why it hurt you. And that makes sense given your parents and your background and your upbringing. That makes sense. And I really want to understand you because to love in Hebrew is to know. I want to study you. I want to know what you love, what turns you on. I want to know these things. I want to study you. That's love. I want to get to know you. To know you is to love you. Now, what if somebody doesn't want to get to know you and they show no interest in you and they have no EQ? So there is a category of people that don't know how to love. They have emotional immaturity, they have mental disorders, or they're part of what's called the dark triad. They're narcissistic, they're so full of themselves, there's no space for anybody else. Or they're Machiavellian sociopaths, where they love deceiving people. Or they're psychopaths, they don't have a conscience. And these people do exist, and we have to recognize them. And I try to help people stay married, do whatever they can do. Socrates said, if you marry a loving woman, you'll have a happy life. And if you marry a difficult, nasty woman, you'll become a philosopher. So we have to learn how to win either way. I wrote all my books because I married into a family of people that didn't talk. I come from a family that didn't talk. I don't remember one conversation as a child with anybody. Nobody knew anything about my inner life, and nobody was interested. And because that was my childhood, that's what love meant to me. Our parents teach us what love feels like. And if we were hit or neglected or criticized, that's what we think love means. And we might think, oh, in order to get somebody to love me, and this is a sign that you grew up with abuse, because you think, I have to earn love by being perfect. I have to run after people to pay attention to me. I have to beg for crumbs of attention and love. And really if anybody gets to know me, they're going to reject me. These are signs that you grew up without love. And maybe you don't know what love looks like. And many people do not know what love looks like because they never saw it as kids. Okay? If your father didn't love your mother, then you think, oh, it's impossible for men to love their wives. Or the wife didn't love the father and she was always putting him down and nailing him. So you think, oh, that's what women should do. They should criticize their husbands all the time. Whatever we grew up with, we're going to live with that. It might take therapy to overcome it. So let me just talk about what you can do if you're in a situation where you've got a lot of conflict about these areas, money and cleaning and food and affection. So hopefully I have some ideas here. This is number one. I trained my children and my grandchildren. I sometimes spritz them when they were in the middle of eating or playing. And I trained them to say, Hizdamnut lehitgabrut. In Hebrew, it goes very easily. It's an opportunity to have a victory. So I am going to frustrate you and irritate you because that's what life is like. Full of fiddles, frustrations, irritations, disappointments, FID, losses, and stress. Our lives are full of fiddles all day long. And I want to train you that when I go spritz, you're going to say he's in English, chance to be a champ. And you see my raffle tickets over there. I would give them raffle tickets. When we get to 50 raffle tickets, now I'm a health food nut. I say, okay, get 50 raffle tickets, chance to be a champ. We go out for pizza or ice cream or do something special. And I would train them that they should look at our fiddles, and our lives are full of fiddles, frustrations, irritations, disappointments, losses, and stress, that we should think this is a chance to be a champ. Thank you, Hashem, for this opportunity to work on my middos. All the fiddles in our lives, everything Hashem gives me, it doesn't matter if you have a good marriage or a horrible marriage, if you're in a palace or you're a hovel, if you're rich or poor, whatever you're going through, married, with kids, without kids, whatever, it doesn't matter. Whatever Hashem gives us is a chance to be a champ. And train yourself to say that. People, this person loves me. Oh, how wonderful. I will put that down. I keep these little booklets. Okay. Every day I write down my gratitudes and my victories. So if somebody likes me, wow, I put it down, my gratitude. And if somebody doesn't, then I have a victory to accept Ratzon Hashem. I accept Hashem's will. So train yourself to think this is okay. This one is affectionate. This one is not affectionate. This one spends money. Like, what? What do they spend their money on? Kabbalat Ratzon Hashem. Okay. This one doesn't like me. This one doesn't like my food. This one doesn't like. This one comes. This one calls. This one doesn't call. It's all a chance to be a champ. Train yourself. Okay. Now, everybody needs, I like to use just simple, everyday things to help people internalize spiritual concepts. This is a spiritual concept. Okay? This is a spiritual concept. It helps children, it helps us to remember what keeps us healthy. This is another one. Have people measure. Oh, when I said that to you, how much did that hurt? A little bit? You got a mosquito bite? Where is that mosquito bite? I have a 2.5-year-old granddaughter. If somebody falls down, she runs to get the rulers, the girl rulers and the boy rulers. She says, how much did that hurt? Kama koev. She wants to know. She's a little healer. She cares. And I also strongly suggest that you learn, if you feel hurt, to report the hurt rather than dramatize it. That are my feelings and not the... Please report. Okay. I learned my back hurts me 10 or my back hurts me 1. I'm tired 10 or I'm tired 1. I got a mosquito bite. Okay. Some kids, they're so allergic to mosquitoes they go to the hospital. It could be a 10, but maybe the mosquito bite is just a 1 or a 2. It's just annoying. So please, instead of going, oh, I'm so tired. Okay, people can't handle that. So say, you know what? I'm at a 10. When I am, we call it lost, when I'm lonely or hungry or tired, I'm exhausted, lonely, tired, stressed. My smart brain doesn't work. My prefrontal cortex is offline. I am down in my baby brain. So I do a lot with people. I say, wait a second, something just happened. I'm in my baby brain. Down here, this is your ORF. ORF is the same letters as paro, which means wild, unrestrained, crazy. That's paro. Parua, wild. Zimri, whatever. Okay, we have all these characters in Torah. Zimri and Korach and Bilan and Balak and all these nefarious creatures. Okay, and we have to know, okay, that's our lower brain. And then with kids, I go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me go up to my smart brain. Sometimes I can't go up there. I'm too destabilized. I have post-traumatic stress disorder from everything I've been through. There are times I just need quiet. I'll say, give me some quiet. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me go up. And people will say things to you, and you say, oh, that hurt. Do you want to know why it hurt? Are you interested? Are you interested in knowing where it was? Because we do hurt. People are going to leave the towel on the floor. They're going to leave their jacket out. They're going to leave a dish in the sink. They're going to buy things that you think are such a waste of money and time. And they're going to make requests of you that you don't want to do it. Now, I have a rule. This is a kikayon. If you read Sefer Yonah, you will see at the end that Yonah was under a kikayon tree. And the leaf, okay, was when it's flowering, it's huge, and it was shading him, sheltering him from the sun. And then it faded, okay? And he was very upset. And Hashem said, 120 people almost died in Nineveh, and that didn't bother you. But the kikayon, that bothered you? So when I came to Israel, I looked up what's the word for triviality, and it said kikyoni. It's a good word to know if you live here. That's kikyoni. I decided everything in the olam gashmi, everything in the material world is kikyoni. Things get stained, things break down, I broke a glass today, kikyoni. The bleach is always flying onto my favorite things. Bleach never flies onto the clothing that I do need to get rid of. It'll always be something that's favorite. Okay, so make sure that you start using this word, kikyoni. That's a triviality. It's in the physical world. Money losses, kikyoni. Mosquito bites, whatever. And there are critical remarks that might be kikyoni, or might be kikyono for the other person, but it's a bullet for you. It's a missile attack. So you can ask them, do you want to know why that hurts so much? And there are times people can say things that are so painful that it's really like they just killed the relationship. And people do manage to keep what I call nosh relationships. Nosh stands for nice and shallow, and they get along, but it's empty. Because if you're not interested in the other person's inner world, it's going to be empty. And some people are just empty. And hopefully they won't be sending nails or bullets. And if they do, you could say, that was not kikyoni. Are you interested in knowing how I felt about that? Are you interested in resolving these issues? Rebbetzin Shane and Zichronah Livracha and Alfred the Boss said she had a Sholem Bayis fund. If her husband spent anything over, I think it was 100 shekels, she didn't say a word. That's my Sholem Bayis fund. He wants to buy a book, whatever. Okay. So we have to work these things out because we are going to have our differences. So make your rulers. You want to get to know each other, get to know your inner world. And if you want to know the real secret, I have these little pads that I take with me everywhere, and it says Salash. That means Tziyun L'Shevach. It's like a medal. It's what the soldiers come back from some kind of a mifza that they were in, and they get these. In the Hebrew, it's a Salash. In English, it's an award. It's a little something. And I take these with me, okay, and I hand them out to people. And I think every woman and every man, they should start marriage, first of all, say the basis of a good marriage is that there's going to be no hashpala. Hashpala is insult. We're equal. We need to be cooperative. We need to work things out because we are going to have conflict. That's inevitable. Just because I'm a man and you're a woman or whatever. Okay? There's going to be conflicts in terms of needs and desires and whatever, but we are equal. A relationship cannot work if there's coercive control or abuse. Not going to work. The love will die. So I would suggest that everybody say, okay, this is number one. If I feel hurt by something you did, I will tell you, and I want you to say either tell me more or that makes sense. And then ask me, okay, why the spoon in the sink bothered me, or your jacket on the chair, or your mother coming to visit too often, or whatever it is, the in-laws and the family, and you don't have any time for me. That's classic. You don't have any time for me. Now, the man might hear that as a nail or a bullet. What do you mean I don't have time for you? So Rav Simcha Cohen, Zichrono Livracha, from Bnei Brak, he said, and the Rambam goes along with this is like a woman's need is to have words of appreciation. He said to men, and I heard them say this very often. He had a radio program many years ago. He said, if you're not complimenting your wife at least 3 times a day, you're starving her emotionally. And many people are going through emotional starvation. Rav Arush said it's 7 times a day. A man should compliment his wife. Even if he just sends her an emoji, I'm thinking about you, that was a great meal, whatever. And then show your appreciation. Write a little mitzvah note. Give mitzvah notes to people. What do you appreciate? Did you appreciate the meal? Make it concrete. Did you appreciate that he brought what you needed from the makolet? And if you send your husband to the makolet and he doesn't buy the one thing you wanted most, just say, what? Focus on the positive. That's real work because the brain, the baby brain, focuses on the negative. That's how we survive. And what we want to do is focus more on the positive. So I used to bring this to the Shabbos table every week. I'd write down salashim for kids, for myself, whatever, and I'd hand out the salashim. Make up your own. At the bottom it says you added another stone to the Beis HaMikdash. So a marriage is, we're building. This is what builds a marriage, is compliments and interest. Oh, you're tired? How tired are you? You didn't get the aliyah in shul? And that really bothered you? Tell me more about that. I don't understand these aliyahs and the kavod. Men need kavod. I don't understand that particular part. Okay. But tell me more. I want to know more. You want to get to know another person's inner world. And if you're not getting what you want in your marriage, okay, and you've got all these frustrations and fiddles, this is an opportunity to work on my mitos, on patience, accepting Hashem's will, on being truthful or not. Sometimes it's better not to be truthful. There's this funny Indian lady says, you want to have a good marriage, stop communicating. Don't talk. Never ask anybody what's going on in your mind. Nothing good comes from that. Stop trying to figure out what's going on in there. Stop all this communication. If all you're doing is criticizing and telling mommy to change. All this communication business. No. Communicate to say something positive, to show interest. Communication has become this ridiculous thing where people go to therapy and all they do is complain and talk about what bothers them. If you want to see this, it's a 30-second thing. The lady says, I have a wonderful marriage. We never communicate. So don't talk about the things that bother you so much. Talk about what's positive.
Miriam, I'm sitting there laughing because this is like tonic. The truth of the matter is you've hit the nail proverbially on so many of the issues that come up. It's just, I could sit and listen to you all day. This is a wonderful webinar. And I want to thank those of you that attended, because I think that you all agree this was really inspirational. And on that note, I want to mention that we would love to hear from you as to what your interests are. We have a 3-minute survey, and that we would really appreciate knowing what kind of things you're interested in, and we're open to all different facets. And also, I have a blog that I'm very partial to. So anybody that has topics that they'd like to hear about in written form, I love my Times of Israel blog. And most of all, we just want to hear from you in general. And for example, please look at our YouTube, because we have so many interesting features on the YouTube, but we're also on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram. And we have a beautiful website, and we just want to connect with you. And most of all, thank you very much for giving up your time. And I wish you a good evening, and be happy most of all. Thank you, Miriam.